Okay, ankle is our next taping. It's the most common injury in sport is an ankle injury, and it's the most common thing that you're going to tape as a coach in the training room or pre-game. So something you need to have a good idea on what to do. Something that's I don't want to say difficult to master, but it does take a certain amount of repetitions. And I think once you learn how to do it, you're going to be really good throughout your career. A note of caution is the most common thing that you're going to do is put the tape on too tight. And I would encourage you to get feedback from your athletes as you're taping them. If it is too tight, just cut it off and start over. The tape will loosen up over time, but if your athlete is uncomfortable, they're not going to want to compete with too tight of a taping on. It's just not going to work out if their toes start to get numb. So as you're learning, be sure you get feedback from the athletes that you're working with, like, hey, how does this feel? Does this feel good? Is it too tight? Is it too loose? Just so you can figure out this right amount of tension that you're going to use so your athletes can compete. So don't be afraid to cut it off. Okay? First time I ever taped an athlete for a game, prior to a basketball game, he warmed up for 2 minutes, said, I can't feel my foot. We went back to the locker room, cut it off, taped it again, and were able to do it much better a second time, and he was able to compete the rest of the game. And so don't have an ego about it. It's a learning process, and this class is just part of that learning process. As you get into coaching, you're going to get a ton of reps doing this. Even as a youth basketball coach, I tape ankles all the time on the sideline for kids in our team. Like I said, it's the most common injury in sports, and so it's something you're going to have to do. So let's learn how to do it. Some similar things. We want control positioning. So we want our athletes in this nice 90-degree angle with their foot. Most athletes are going to want to kind of get a lazy foot. Again, you don't want to tape in this position. It's similar to the wrist. We want to kind of get in this neutral position when we go. 2 to 4 inches above the ankle. Okay, when you put it this low, it's just too low. It's just not going to provide enough support. As we get through this, we'll talk about the angles that you want to do. So if you have to make a mistake, make it up a little bit higher. Again, we want to overlap all of our pre-wrap and tape. Half of the length of the pre-wrap, this is a 2-inch pre-wrap, so 1-inch overlap. The tape is 1.5 inches, so it's 3/4 inch overlap. But don't be afraid to put a lot of pre-wrap down. Most athletes really don't like the tape going straight on their skin, so be willing to put some extra pre-wrap on if you need to, especially when you get it started. Good overlap. Always a big topic of discussion, do I cover the heel up or do I not? I don't mind if you cover the heel up. I don't think it's going to restrict any movement. We're trying to just keep that pre-wrap as straight as possible. If it starts to wrinkle, you're going to get some irritation, a chance for it to blister, okay? And that's going to be uncomfortable for your athletes. So this is pretty good. There's no wrinkles, there's sort of things there. Every athlete is different when you're putting the pre-wrap down and the tape. You got to learn the angles of what you can do. Okay, if you're pre-wrapping it and it starts to wrinkle up a little bit, don't be afraid to start over. Okay, I'm just putting a couple anchor strips down here on the base of her foot. Those will come into play a little bit more. I always go 2 anchor strips on the top. Again, we're just going to overlap half of them. So we got a good base. Okay, most injuries on the ankle, we're going to roll our ankle. We're going to evert this ankle. So we want to put pressure on the tape, okay, and it starts with these stirrup strips to put the foot in a position that it's going to stay neutral, okay? Your athlete's going to be very, very tender if their foot starts moving back into that rolled position. So as I'm starting off with this taping, when I'm putting these stirrup strips on, we want to kind of get this athlete into a position to avoid the pain. So we're going to start on the medial side or the inside of the foot. So back into that neutral position, okay, stirrup strip right down the middle, okay, and now I want to just put a little pressure on that. I want to put a little bit of tension there, and then I just kind of push it down. We want to get that athlete neutral. Need to put at least 2 stirrup strips down. Okay, so we've got them in a good position. Now we just need to anchor them down or close those down so they're going to lock in place. Again, I like to put 2 on just to lock that down. We got a good base, okay? We got a good start. We're going to put something called C-strips down. We want to protect the Achilles. There's a lot of irritation there. So this is just a little bit around the heel, providing a little bit of support, and we're going to protect that Achilles. So when we start to put our heel locks and our figure eights down, we can stay away from having too much tension on there. So different athletes got different length Achilles tendon. We want to cover that up. And go one more. So we've got a good base, ready to go. Now we're going to start to lock this ankle into place. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is figure eight. We're going to start with the tape right in the middle on the top side of that foot. Okay, we're here. We're going around the Achilles, or I'm sorry, around the arch. A little bit of tension back through there, and we're going to finish around their foot. We're going to go one each direction. So we're here, back through the arch, around the base of their foot. Again, we want to just lock this thing into place. So that's a figure eight. Okay, I think we're on step 4. This is a heel lock. Okay, we're going to go through we want to think about the tape going through the top side of their calcaneus or their ankle bone on the back side of it. So as we're looking at our angle, okay, we want to start to think like, how can I get this tape around here without wrinkling it too much and provide a little bit of support? So I preset my angle, okay, going around the top of that ankle bone, around through, okay, and we're going to pull right across. Okay, I'm going to go 2 each direction, going around and through. I want to just provide a ton of support. Again, you've probably learned through this class about 20 minutes of activity inside of a game environment. Your tape starts to lose its effectiveness. So we want to start with a pretty solid base, knowing that it's going to loosen up as the game goes on. So 2 each direction, okay? We're going to pull through, back to the top. Okay, we're going to go one more. I'm going to set that thing right around that calcaneus bone. We're going to meet right back where we started from. Okay. And we're in a great spot here. As I finish my ankle tape, okay, I'm just looking for any gaps in the tape. Okay, if there was a hole somewhere, I'd probably want to put some tape over top of it. You can see the pre-wrap. Anytime I start to see pre-wrap, you start to make sweat, a little bit of water, moisture from a game environment. Man, that pre-wrap loses its effectiveness in a hurry. And again, the tape is going to lose its effectiveness as well. So your athlete should start neutral. Okay, we have range of motion, but it is restricted, and hopefully feels good that your athlete can go out and compete. If this is injury prevention, something like Friday night, or if we're trying to tape an athlete up that has got an injury, follow those steps. You're going to be in good shape.